We're going to talk about basketball, something I'm particularly atrocious at, but we're going to show you some stretches that will help you after you warm up. Okay, these are stretches that you shouldn't be doing right prior to competition. It's actually stretches you should be doing at the end of a practice or game to get that increased length of tissue. I would say the biggest thing that people don't do correctly is they don't stretch long enough. 30 seconds to 60 seconds in one position is my typical recommendation. Various studies have shown that that's when the real length of tissue really improves. Some of the studies were done on the calf muscle in particular, and that was 3 times for 30 seconds. Sustained stretch, good pressure in the calf, and they saw a true elongation. Anyway, you can go upwards of a minute. There's no downside to it. It is really a matter of time. But I would say 3 times for 30 seconds is the minimum. Even 3 times for a minute is your stretch duration to get a lengthening of tissues. We're trying to lengthen the fascia, musculature, tendon, ligament. We want everything to kind of lengthen. And we need that sustained load for that period of time. So you want these done at the end of practice, after you're done with your game, after you've been warmed up. If you're not at the end of practice or game, you want at least 5 or 10 minutes of warming up, whether it be a good walk, run, jog, whatever you need. And then you want to go into your stretches, okay? Now, dynamic stretches, we're showing you post-workout stretches, static stretching. Static stretching prior to a game, prior to an activity, is really something that a lot of people feel actually shows a decrease in performance. Some of the studies were done on people jumping, can't jump as high, their burst speed is reduced, they don't perform as well. So the static stretching should be done at the end. And the dynamic stretches, which we've talked about on another video, should be done at the start. You know, after you've kind of warmed up a little bit, you go into your dynamic stretching, and that's where you kind of get your movement patterns, you get some warming, you work in the direction of movement that you need. For basketball, it's multidirectional. You want different movements, rotation, there's a variety of movement patterns. For your runners, we're talking about one direction, they're called sagittal plane, it's one direction movements, and the stretching may be a little bit different from those, the emphasis at least. I do believe, we put too much in stretching. We also want to make sure we have the range of motion. We also want to make sure we have the strength in the new available range of motion. So it's good to be flexible, but we want to be strong and flexible. So keep stretching, but realize that's not the only part of injury prevention we want to look at. We want to look at strength within the new range of motion. So consider that too when you're doing your stretches, is how can we incorporate strengthening in these new planes of movement? And that's something that's very important. So it kind of complements a good stretching program. So anyway, so we're going to go through a couple stretches here. All right, the first one we're going to go through is we're going to try and open up the hips a little bit. It's kind of a little bit of a yoga stretch. I can't tell you exactly which one it is. I always mix them up, so I won't even tell you. But what we want to do is work on a little bit of a calf stretch, keep the knee reasonably straight. And we're going to get into a little bit of what I call lumbar extension and hands overhead. Okay? You're going to hold that position for about 30 seconds. Okay, 30 seconds. After 30 seconds, you're going to return back, see how it feels, and go back and do it again. After 3 times for 30 seconds, you're going to switch legs. You're going to do it on the opposite side. Okay? There should be no pain, good pressure in the calf back here. Maybe a little pressure up in the front of the quad, the hip area right there. And it's a nice combination stretch. Lower back, full elevation. Great for some of that jumping you're going to have to do in basketball. All right, we're going to do an adductor stretch. It kind of has a little bit of hamstring in here, well, opening up the inside muscles here, the adductors, nice and wide. I want to keep my trunk right here a little bit straight and elongated. I want to kind of hinge from here and come forward. Okay, good stretch for 30 seconds. You can kind of bias one side a little bit if you want for 30. Kind of a little variety here. You can add more than 3 times for 30 seconds, but our goal here is really to get that full, one position, whatever you pick, for a good 30 seconds, hinge here. I want to make sure we're not just getting a flattening of the lower back. I want to make sure we're feeling it across here and the back, okay? You shouldn't have any kind of numbness or tingling down the leg. You might be stretching a nerve a little bit too much, so be a little careful of that. Okay, the stretch we're going to do is more for rotation. Okay, you're going to line your back, take your opposite leg, keep yourself nice and upright. You're going to work on a little rotation. This is the rotators of the hip. This is more for external rotation. So like so. Okay? And you can change position a little bit, but hold whatever position you choose for at least 30 seconds for 3 times. You can do more, but that's what you want to look for. And you do the same thing on the other side. but do it consecutively on one side and then switch to the opposite side when we're talking about stretches on one side or the other. Okay, so 3 times for 30 seconds, three times for 30 seconds, upwards of a minute. Okay, all right. One of the other stretches you can do is a standing hamstring stretch. You can have the stretching leg is this one right over here. You're basically going to lean forward like this. Keep yourself nice and upright. And if you look from a side view, I'm trying to keep my back in neutral here. So you're simply going to come forward, hold the chest up, hold that stretch for 30 seconds. And you can vary it. You can turn out a little bit, combine a little bit of turnout. Right in the back here, hold for 30 seconds, back across for 30 seconds. All great stretches, very simple, 3 times for 30 seconds. Like I said, you can do it for longer, but that's the minimum, 30 seconds. I think that's the mantra, 3 times. A little rest in between, then go right back to the next stretch. Just to make sure you're doing right, but you shouldn't have any kind of sharp pain with it. It should feel like good sustained pressure, okay? Not lying forward, resting, and coming forward like this. It actually works on a little bit of upper arm stretches too, just like so. And kind of lean into it. You can turn it out a little bit like that. But you get a good hip flexion. Hip flexion meaning motion from here up. Okay? So you can rest on it, right with your body, and just let your body lie and relax here. Some people aren't, you may not get a great stretch out of it. You may have adequate flexibility. So you're not building on the stretch, you may be more maintaining it. Okay, the next stretch is for rotation. It works on rotation for the trunk and the lower back. Especially with basketball, we're getting a lot of rotational movements where we want the trunk to move on top of the hips, any of those type of movements. So we're going to show you this next one. You can use a basketball. You're going to lie on your side. You want to place the ball underneath your thigh in line with your waist. Okay? Hands out like so. Palms together. You're going to look. And as you keep and you maintain pressure downward, you want to make sure there's no letting up on this ball. You're going to come across. Rotate all the way up, back, back, back. Try and recruit some of those muscles in the upper back as you reach over. Little pause. This one you can hold for 30. Some people it's a little bit irritating. You may have to do a little less than the first time you do it. And you can see my leg wants to come up on this side, sustain that movement, that pressure down, and then come across. So follow your hands, look, 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 look. Sustain pressure, hold for 30 seconds. You can see I get a little bit more out of it as I inch in, recruit some of those upper back muscles, keeping the hips in one position. And then back across. And you simply reverse it with the other side. Just keep this leg down straight or slightly extended. Leg down, hands together. Follow the hand all the way back. I don't have enough room obviously, but reaching back, back, back. And then back across. So those are my stretches for basketball. Hope this helps you out. But remember, the timing of this is very important as well. Try and do it after you warm up, 5 or 10 minutes. Get a little bit of sweat down, a little bit of a bead, and then go into your stretches. All right. You want to add to it. You typically can't overstretch. Just consider that. You want to see what your reaction is to it as well. Make sure it's the end of the workout, and then also consider looking at our other videos on dynamic stretches. And if you really like this, hey, subscribe to our channel or share it with a friend, okay? Have a great day.